Today, my husband Tom and I attended my nephew Kyle's birthday party at my sister-in-law Julia's house. When it was time to eat, Julia served takeout sushi to everyone, except me. Confused, I hesitated before Julia said something shocking. We didn't invite anyone who's not family, so don't just show up uninvited. Tom's face turned red with anger. Without saying a word, he grabbed my hand, and we both stormed out of the house. As we walked away, something unexpected happened to Julia's family, and she collapsed to her knees. My name is Lisa James, and I'm 33 years old. I used to work as a nurse, which is how I met my husband Tom, who is also a nurse. Tom's gentle and selfless nature drew me to him, and I was the one who mustered the courage to ask him out for dinner. To my delight, he said yes. After a few dates, our connection grew stronger, and we naturally began a relationship. One memorable evening, while enjoying a candlelit dinner at a restaurant with a stunning night view, Tom pulled out a small velvet box and proposed. Overwhelmed with happiness, I said yes, and we soon became husband and wife. After we married, I decided to leave my job to support Tom, who worked long shifts at the hospital. I embraced the role of a stay-at-home wife. "Lisa, your cooking is the best," Tom would often say, praising my meals while sharing housework duties. He's truly a wonderful husband. When Tom's father passed away, it deeply affected his family. His mother, Mary, became quite lonely. Mary, who had always treated me like her own daughter, was someone I grew to love dearly. Having been raised by my father after my parents divorced when I was a baby, I never knew what a mother's love felt like. Spending time with Mary gave me a sense of what it might have been like if my parents had stayed together. To ease Mary's loneliness, I suggested to Tom that we invite her to live with us. However, Julia strongly opposed the idea. "I can't let Mom live in a house with strangers," she declared, referring to me. Though her words stung, I understood her hesitation. Julia eventually moved into their family home with Mary, claiming, "I know Mom best, so leave her to me." Yet, I couldn't ignore the unease in Mary's expression whenever we spoke. I began visiting Mary regularly. She was often alone during the day while Julia and her husband worked, and her grandson Kyle attended daycare. Each visit, Mary greeted me warmly. "Thank you, Lisa, your visits brighten my days," she'd say, and our conversations became the highlight of my week. But one day, when I rang the doorbell, Julia answered instead of Mary. Her cold gaze made me pause. "What do you want?" she snapped. "I just wanted to see Mary," I replied hesitantly. Julia scoffed. "You're not family, and she has nothing to say to you." She began to shut the door, but Mary appeared behind her. "Lisa, I've got some sweets to share. Come in," Mary said, inviting me inside despite Julia's evident irritation. Before leaving for work, Julia gave Mary a stern reminder. "Don't forget to be careful with Kyle's food allergies. I'll be back this evening." After Julia left, Mary looked apologetic. "I'm so sorry about Julia. She can be difficult." "It's okay," I reassured her, though I was concerned. "Mary, are you managing everything here on your own?" Mary sighed deeply. "Yes, Julia says she's busy with work and leaves everything to me, cooking, cleaning, and taking care of Kyle. It's exhausting." It was clear that Julia treated Mary more like a maid than a family member. Feeling sympathy for her, I decided to help whenever I could. When I told Tom about the situation, he frowned. "Julia's always been bossy, even when we were kids, but treating Mom like this? It's too much." One evening, while Tom and I were watching TV, Mary called with a surprising request. "Lisa, there's a parent observation day at Kyle's daycare tomorrow. Everyone else's mom is attending, and I think Kyle will feel left out if I go. Could you come instead?" I hesitated. "Isn't Julia going?" Mary sighed heavily. She said she can't take time off work. I don't know what she's thinking. It's such an important day for Kyle. "I understand, Mary, I'll go with you," I said. Mary sounded relieved, her tone happy as she ended the call. I couldn't help but think Julia should have made the time for her son's special day. Surely Kyle would want his mom there, but perhaps Julia had her own reasons, and I decided to put my feelings aside. The next morning, I stopped by Julia's house at the time Mary had asked. On the way, I picked up some snacks I thought Kyle might enjoy. When I arrived, Mary greeted me at the door. "Thank you so much for doing this," she said. "It's no trouble at all," I reassured her. "But are you sure Kyle will be okay with me coming?" "Of course, Kyle loves you, Lisa. He'll be thrilled to see you," Mary replied warmly. Feeling reassured, we headed to the daycare together. The place was bustling with activity, filled with excited children and their mothers. We quietly watched Kyle participate in the activities, and when he spotted us, he waved enthusiastically and smiled. I waved back, matching his cheerful energy. He looked so angelic in that moment. On our way home, Kyle ran up to me and exclaimed, "Lisa, I'm so happy you came. Let's play a lot when we get back." I smiled at his enthusiasm. "Sure, I'll think of something fun for us to do." He beamed with joy before running back to join his friends. "See, I told you he adores you," Mary said with a smile. I couldn't help but feel a little proud. Kyle's warm and friendly nature made spending time with him such a delight. Whenever we met, he'd eagerly ask me to play, and we'd often have fun like children together. After the observation session ended, parents and children were expected to head home together. I held Kyle's small hand as we walked back to Julia's house. I gave him the snacks I'd brought, and his eyes lit up with happiness. Anyone watching us might have mistaken us for a mother and son. But as we approached the house, Kyle's expression changed, his smile faded, and tears began streaming down his face. "Kyle, what's wrong?" I asked, alarmed. "I wanted to play with Lisa more," he sobbed. "I don't like Grandma, I want Lisa." Mary looked heartbroken, unsure of how to respond. "Shall we play a little longer?" I offered gently. Originally, I had planned to head home after the observation, but seeing Kyle so upset, I decided to stay for a while longer. We played games together, and time flew by. Before I knew it, it was dinner time. Mary looked exhausted, so I decided to cook something before leaving. "Kyle, what would you like to eat?" I asked. "A hamburger, a big one," he exclaimed. With the ingredients available in the fridge, I quickly whipped up a hamburger, carefully avoiding eggs because of Kyle's allergy. I even drew a happy face on it with ketchup, which made Kyle squeal with excitement. "Eat up, Kyle, enjoy," I said with a smile. Kyle dug in happily. "Thank you, Lisa, let's play again soon." After dinner, Mary walked me to the door to see me off. Kyle looked a bit sad as he waved goodbye. Just then, we heard the front door open. "I'm home," a voice called out. It was Julia's husband, Jack. Jack was a quiet, reserved man, quite the opposite of Julia. In all the time I'd known him, we had exchanged only a few words. "I'm sorry for staying so late," I said. "I'll be leaving now." "Don't apologize," Jack said kindly. "Honestly, this should be my wife's responsibility, but thank you for helping out." Kyle looked so happy. "I had so much fun with Lisa today," Kyle chimed in, smiling. Jack smiled back at his son. "That's good to hear." As I moved toward the door, Julia suddenly appeared. Her sharp eyes landed on me. "What are you doing here again?" she demanded, her voice cold. "I asked Lisa to come today," Mary interjected. "She even went to Kyle's daycare observation and made this hamburger." But Julia's anger didn't subside. She picked up the plate with the hamburger I'd made, and before anyone could react, she threw it into the trash. The room went silent. Even Kyle looked shocked. Jack quickly opened the trash can and retrieved the plate. "What are you doing, Julia? Lisa worked hard to make this," he said, his voice trembling with anger. Julia snapped back at him. "Don't talk to me like that. I earn just as much as you, if not more. Show some respect." Jack fell silent, his shoulders slumping in defeat. Julia's domineering attitude clearly weighed heavily on him. Feeling overwhelmed, I quickly apologized. "I'm sorry for overstepping. I'll leave now." Julia glared at me. "Stay out of my kitchen next time, or you'll regret it." Fighting back tears, I hurried out of the house. On the way home, I couldn't stop crying. All I had wanted was to help, but my efforts only seemed to anger Julia further. Why did things always go wrong when I tried to do the right thing? When I got home, the lights were already on. Tom had returned from work and was preparing dinner. Seeing my tear-streaked face, he rushed over. "Lisa, what happened?" he asked, concerned. I told him everything. His face turned red with anger. "Julia, again." "I'm calling her right now," he said, grabbing his phone. "No, please don't," I said quickly. "I don't want things to get worse." Tom sighed and put the phone down. He pulled me into a hug. "I'm always on your side, Lisa, no matter what." In that moment, I felt so grateful to have Tom in my life. For a while, I avoided Julia's house, afraid of another confrontation. But then one day, my phone rang, and to my surprise, Julia's name appeared on the screen. Hesitantly, I answered. "Next week is Kyle's birthday. We're having a party, so make sure Tom comes," Julia said curtly. Before I could respond, she added, "And don't forget the birthday present," then hung up. I stood there in disbelief. After everything, Julia was now inviting us to Kyle's birthday party. When I told Tom, his expression darkened. "There's something going on," he said. "Maybe, but it's for Kyle," I replied. "We should go." Kyle excitedly showed Julia the gift. "Look, Mom," he exclaimed, holding it up with bright eyes, but Julia scoffed. "What a cheap-looking toy," she said coldly, her words cut through the moment like a knife. I froze in shock, unable to respond. "You two don't even have kids, so you must have plenty of money. You could have gotten Kyle something better," Julia continued, her voice dripping with disdain. Tom opened his mouth as if to argue, but even he seemed too stunned to speak. "This is what I wanted," Kyle shouted, his small hands clutching the gift. "Don't be mean to Lisa." His innocent words struck a nerve, and Julia's face twisted with anger. "If you love Lisa so much, why don't you become her kid?" she snapped, her voice sharp and venomous. Kyle's lips trembled, and tears spilled down his cheeks. Jack silently stepped in, scooping Kyle into his arms and whispering words of comfort. I watched in disbelief, my heart breaking for the little boy. As the tension hung in the air, the doorbell rang. "Lisa, the sushi delivery is here. Could you get it?" Julia asked nonchalantly. "Sure," I replied, needing an excuse to step away from the tension. At the door, the delivery man handed over the order. 5 sets, 1 kid sushi set and 4 adult sets, he announced. Puzzled, I asked Julia, "Weren't there supposed to be 6 sets? There are only 4 adult ones." "That's correct," she said curtly, paying the man. Her dismissive tone didn't sit right, but I decided not to press the issue. Returning to the dining table, I noticed something even stranger. There wasn't a chair for me. Tom stood, ready to offer his seat, but Julia intervened. "Lisa, that's Tom's seat. Yours is over there," she said, pointing to a small side table in the corner. "Our dining table is small, so not everyone can sit here." "Sorry," she added with a mock apologetic tone. Though hurt, I decided not to make a scene and quietly took the seat she indicated. When the food was served, Mary brought over my portion, but something was missing. "Lisa doesn't have any sushi," Mary pointed out, her brows furrowing. "We didn't order for anyone who isn't family," Julia said with a cruel laugh. Her words were a dagger to my heart, confirming what I had long suspected. She didn't see me as family. Tom's anger boiled over. "That's enough, Julia. Lisa, we're leaving," he said, grabbing my hand. I didn't look back as we walked out, tears streaming down my face. Back home, Tom pulled me into his arms. "I'm sorry for what she said," he murmured. His unwavering support was my only solace. That night, Mary called with shocking news. Julia got food poisoning from the sushi and had to go to the hospital, she said. I was stunned. "Are Jack and Kyle okay?" I asked. "Yes, they ate the sushi too, but only Julia got sick," Mary replied. "Kyle was worried about you, Lisa." Tom, overhearing the conversation, muttered under his breath, "Karma." 3 days later, Julia appeared at our doorstep with Jack and Mary. She stormed in without invitation. "How dare you live here in this tiny house?" she sneered, her words as cutting as ever. "What brings you here?" I asked, still shocked. Julia's expression darkened. "You poisoned the sushi, didn't you? I'll sue you for damages." Her baseless accusations drained the strength from my body. "I didn't do anything, I just accepted the delivery," I said, trying to keep calm. "That's enough," Mary's voice thundered. She defended me and even exposed Julia's secret affair with photographic proof. Jack's face turned pale as he stared at the evidence. After a heated argument, Jack left with Kyle, declaring he was filing for divorce. Mary announced her intention to sell the family home and sever ties with Julia completely. 6 months later, Julia and Jack's divorce was finalized. Kyle stayed with his father, and Julia moved into a small apartment. Her attempts to reconcile with Mary were met with silence. She had burned too many bridges. Meanwhile, Tom and I began a new chapter. One evening, as we celebrated our move into a new home, I shared the news with Mary. "By winter, there will be 2 grandchildren." Mary's face lit up with joy. "Lisa, are you?" "Yes," I confirmed with a smile. "I'm 3 months pregnant." As Mary cried tears of happiness, I felt hope and peace for the future. For the first time in a long while, everything felt right.